Hey, everybody. This is the Down and Dirty. Welcome on in. It is a Monday, and the world as we know it has been flipped upside down. I will tell you this, though. I will tell you this. It was a great weekend. Two of the most epic things that have happened in the world of sports happened over the weekend. One was the WNBA had its season opening. That was epic. We love the WNBA. And number two, this is the best one. This is the best part of the whole weekend. I'm just telling you right now. In fact, I will make this promise to you, Herman Moore. When the Utah Jazz, because they are going to the NBA Finals, they are going to win a championship now. I will buy you a front row seat to go see game one of the finals when the Utah Jazz play in the NBA Finals. They got the best, they got number two in the lottery. They got number two. This has never happened in Jazz history, ever, 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 ever. And they finally went up in the draft, and this is a good draft. It's a loaded draft, and this is that final piece. Because here's the thing: you got to understand, nobody wants to come to Utah. Okay, nobody wants to come to Utah, so you got to draft players. That's the only way you get them to come here. We don't do things like roasts. We don't do things like this. The place shuts down at 9 o'clock at night. Everybody like wakes up early and they go climb mountains and they go raft rivers and they do all those fun outdoor activities. And so it's boring. Charles Barkley has said Utah is boring, but we're going to win championships. That's what happened. Of course, as we were talking here in the beginning, the other thing that happened, and I don't know if it was epic or not, was Kevin Hart's roast. And we've been watching some of the clips from it. And of course, Herman's decided from the Kevin Hart roast that the world is going to hell in a handbasket. And he might not be wrong. Anyways, welcome on in, everyone, to the show. We're so glad you could join us. Like, subscribe, do all those other things. Herman, I don't want to stop you any longer. Please go on about how much you love Kevin Hart and celebrity roasts.
No, I don't have a problem with them as entertainers. It's just when you see it all put together, it comes down to the production, and I think the production of it was off. And a lot of people can disagree with me. It's okay. It's a free world, but it wasn't entertaining at the level that the roast of past have been because they seem a little bit more authentic. These are just a lot of paid pieces. It's rehearsed. It's people coming out. It's this whole production piece. It's got a script. So there's known and projected outcomes that they're looking for and all this stuff. But I just don't feel it. And I feel that it was a strain to watch and just to hear everyone come in because there's these different agendas, but everyone's coming because there's a paid appearance. It's like going to a card show. You're not looking for anything that's going to pop out and be theatrical or changing other than a who's. It's no different than any event where you have a lot of who's. You got a lot of names, you got a lot of stars coming out, and they're in one building at one time, and I get it, but I don't see that being any greater than going to a show. And I know it's a roast, but it just fell flat to me and kind of strained in listening to a lot of the comedians that came up and delivered their punchlines. They're struggling with the scripts that they have, and yeah, so
Struggling is putting it mildly. And the thing that I don't like about these roasts is they push the envelope so far and they try to get as cringy and they try to get as crass and they try to, it's that moment because we've become a society that, that like you can't offend anyone. And so it's the opportunity for everyone to offend because, hey, it's a roast and I have a pass here. And so you get these just really awful jokes and so much of it. Like I love comedy, and that's really what it is, just comedy. They're trying to be funny. They're trying to go back to the Dean roast, celebrity roast, which a lot of those were really funny. Like they were really fun. I don't know if you've ever watched any of those older. They
yeah.
were unbelievably funny to me. But they also, they're from time to time kind of pushed the envelope a little bit. But everything goes to I'm gonna use foul language. I'm gonna say very foul and vile things. I'm gonna like go to the lowest common denominator here, and I'm gonna call that art. I'm gonna call that entertainment. I'm gonna call it funny, and I'm gonna call it lazy. I think it's lazy. I think it's unoriginal. It's like, oh well, we're just gonna get shocked into being thinking this is funny, and it's just not funny to me. You know, when there's this cleverness, there's this guy, and there's some great comedians out there today that I really like, but there's this one guy, and he's from, I can't remember what his name is, but he's from Denmark. He's a Danish guy, and he goes, "Man, I had to learn the English language, right? And it's like the most difficult language in the world." And he does this whole comedy bit on it, and he talks about the word ass, and he describes how confusing that word is, and how hard it was for him to figure out that was how to use the word ass in a sentence, and like if you were bad, that was good, you know and so they were just like a badass, that's actually a good thing. And anyway, so it's just it but it was really clever, and it was funny, and it was well thought out. And so much of these roasts today just aren't. They're just dumb. They're just stupid. It's so cringy to me that they do this, and somehow, some way, everyone thinks, "Oh, this is just funny. And I find it absolutely like just cringy and unfunny. And I mean, I've watched a little bit of what we've watched and seen, and I've watched these before. Tom Brady's roast. I mean, it was just and somehow they get on these personal attacks, and they're like, okay, that's funny. And then at the very end, they go, but you're a great guy. You're a great guy. At the very end, it's like, I don't know. It seems there's a classier way. There's a funnier way. There's a more developed way to do these types of things, as opposed to just being so offensive and shocking in order to do it.
I look at it and I've seen where it's changed. Look at content as a whole. What we find funny, what we find entertaining, what we find um, digestible, and something that we want to really go, hey, this is something that's shareable. This is something that's relatable, repeatable. It has become just this hodgepodge of just things, and everyone just throwing it out there to see what happens. And when you can see some people when they've been in their own space and they've been brilliant, and then they come into this manufactured space to where they're now having to kind of fall in line with this show, right? And it's not their show. They've lost their identity. So now you're taking people who have an identity that we've come to love or like or follow, that fits their brand, and now we're putting it all into one stage, and we're saying, hey, here's a catch-all, and the catch-all is called a roast. It doesn't work. It does not work. Like, you have to match the people up to the roast. You got to match people up to the audience, the deliverable, the expectation of what you're wanting the people to get out of these particular um, entertainment spots and these venues and all these things. And I just don't see it. It's just lazy. It is a money grab. It is just, hey, let's put all these people together. Let's put the marketing behind it. And then let's get the people, whether it goes boom or bust. It won't matter, because we'll already have the money and we'll already have the eyeball. So the people who are left holding the bag are those that gave up the time, they gave up the money, and gave up just the brain space to listen to some of the stuff that just doesn't make sense, because they're not even writing their own jokes. And when you're not writing your own jokes, you've already lost your authenticity. You've already lost your personality and your persona that people have really followed those entertainers for. Now, some of them got in character. You get The Rock, he's walking out, he's bright lights, he's still in his WrestleMania, wrestle whatever it
Right.
is, going on. And it's a whole thing, and he's yelling, he's got his tight stuff on, right? Cool. Right. That's just kind of, typecast. And then you got Cat Williams, and he's talking about, and you can feel the authenticity of really what he wants to say. He's kind of reserved, he's holding back a little bit, but he's got a whole lot. He's like, basically like, listen, we want to keep it cordial and keep it nice. I'll stay nice. But if this goes off the rails, I'm prepared to go off the rails if we have to go off the rails. And everything that he was saying, I think if he would have said, the lights are too bright, Kevin Hart would have started laughing. because over on the side, no matter what Cat Williams said, if you look at, he's laughing at everything. Everything is just so hilariously funny. When everyone, no, every joke was not funny, and yet you got everybody on stage doing that. And so I'm like, I don't know, man. It's one of those deals.
See, I like
But
the
it's
part
great.
I like the part where they go, they say a joke and it's bad, right? It's cringy, it's not even funny, and everyone's supposed to laugh, like you said, and everyone's laughing, but it's kinda like they're smiling, but they're not really they're like, "Ah, yeah," and it's like, "Please go on to something that's funny so I can get back in rhythm here with what's funny," 'cause and they just kinda they have this, like, just forced grin and nod, and they're not
Right.
like
All the comedians know that too, man. They know it's not funny.
it's all about timing too, your delivery and saying, it's one thing to say the joke, but it's also the way and the timing of the joke. And you get a lot you get a lot of like athletes or you get other people who aren't necessarily comedians up there and they kind of forget where the comma is or forget where the pause is and they just kind of cruise through it and it could be funny, but just their delivery makes it like awkward and uncomfortable and I just I think the ones that are the people who aren't like used to being on stage in a presence of being funny, whether comedians, actors, whatever, those to me are the most uncomfortable and the ones that and sometimes they'll pull it off, they'll do a good job or whatever, but clearly they don't write this stuff. Clearly it's something they're not comfortable with, and most of the time, it it falls for the one I did. I just I like the guy who imitates Shaq. Right? He's a comedian. I don't know who he is, but he doesn't. So I actually liked. I actually like there. There are a few times where I've actually liked roasts or moments in roast. I love the Dean Martin celebrity roast, and I will just tell you right now, as cringy as things are today, most of what they said, especially Don Rickles, you could not say today. I don't even care if it was roast. Like it was so bad.
Well,
But at the
they
time, it was very funny. And
hold it.
Tom Brady is one where, he has this image, right? And he's just this, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. He has the TB12 method. He eats everything perfectly and he has this amazing workout and his whole life is very, very structured and the way, his appearance, his haircut, his just everything is just meticulous and so when everyone kind of gets to roll up their sleeves and come at Tom Brady a little bit unbuttoned or a lot unbuttoned, I think that's the draw for people. Even with Kevin Hart, I mean, and when you mentioned Kevin Hart and Tom Brady, because the Tom Brady roast was massively successful, and so they go, well, let's do this again because it worked there. But with Tom Brady, it's really fun to kind of how do you poke fun at Tom Brady kind of thing because there's just it's like it would be like how can you poke fun at Michael Jordan, right? It's just they're just where other people kind of have their Kevin Hart is short or Kevin Hart is whatever. There's just there's a lot of places you can go with a Kevin Hart, but so when you go at Tom Brady and you have to really dig deep to kind of go after him, and they did, and it was very cringy, probably more cringy than this. But it's still one of those things that it's. I'm just gonna go back to what I said. It's like the lowest form of comedy is the crassness. It's like we'll just swear a lot, we'll just say very vulgar things, and that's supposed to be funny, and that's gonna move the needle. And unfortunately, in a lot of ways, it does.
Only thing I would leave with on this part of it is, you bring in, like I say, there's a lot of people that come in terms of these different comedians, and they all have their take. Um, it's fun when you hear. I think the element of surprise is there when there are people that we're not familiar with and how they are affixed or familiar with that particular person they're roasting. When you bring in some of the friends, they bring in these stories, they bring in these different things. You bring in those that have known them in an industry. It works a certain way. Only thing when I look at these roasts, it's changed. Like I said, everything's changed so much to where you just don't know what you're getting. You know, it's almost like when you go to, you know what, I'll equate it to a lot of these shows, a lot of the content. It's like going to your favorite fast food place. And for those of you who actually eat fast food, it it's supposed to be one way. You're expecting a certain quality of something on the menu, and then you get there and it's just always different. It's like it's not the same thing. It's, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that makes sense. No, this just sounds crazy. I just want the consistency of high level quality. Like if I go to see a person at a show, and that show, that I go, that comedian's really, really good. And we've seen all these different comedians, whether it's on social media, whether it's in their own elements, whether it's in their movies, whether it's in whatever. And it's like they lose that element because someone else is taking it over as this production versus saying, let the people come in and be themselves. Also, I know what I was going to say. Why not just let people come like you would normally go to a show? You know, the tuxedos and the suits and all that, it buttons you up too much. Like I want to come to a place and feel it doesn't have to be over the top. It doesn't seem like it has to be so exclusive and everybody's got to be dressed a certain way. Like come there. I don't care if I'm in my best kicks, my sneaks, my shirt, my hood. It doesn't matter. I'm coming to a roast and a comedy show slash roasting thing, right? And I think it would open it up a little bit more. Right now, it just seems like it's gotten also almost like the Oscars. It's got almost like this event where you got to be so buttoned up and everybody's got to be so polished and all this stuff. And I don't know. It just, again, the manufactured piece seems like it's front and center, more so than actually coming there for this entertainment.
All right, so I'm going to go back to fast food because I can relate to you with fast food, and I'll be curious to find out what your favorite fast food is. But I can tell you what mine is, and it's Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I've tried Popeyes, and it's just not the same to me. I know it goes back to my childhood, my parents. The first fast food I ever had in my life was Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it had a certain like expectation, which is what you're
Mhm.
saying, right? And if you go to a Kentucky Fried, I know it because I'm a Kentucky Fried Chicken connoisseur. In fact, the first Kentucky Fried Chicken was in the state of Utah. That's one of our claim to
Hey,
fame.
let me ask you this, man. What do you get? Like, what's your favorite thing to get there, man? Is it is
It's
it
a
is
it's
it
a
you like the white meat,
four-piece.
the dark meat?
No,
What?
no, no, no. I like the four-piece original, right? So you get a little bit of
Four
both.
piece
I mean,
original.
I'm
So,
more
so what
I'm
you getting? A breast? What you get? A breast,
you
wing,
get
leg,
4
thigh?
pieces. Yeah, you get a half
You
a
get
chicken.
each piece.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So right, so I wanna sample all the different, the different aspects of a chicken. But I do prefer dark meat, just so you know, but I do like all of it. And there's a certain, like, it's how it's sourced, and so, um, if you get Kentucky Fried Chicken in certain parts of the country, it's bad. Like, where they source their chicken is just it's the same quality is not the same, and so you get this little over fried, and the leg like shrivels up to nothing. It just, and you just get this just super dried. It's like it's embarrassing and it's just wrong. And so and I've come to expect a certain type of chicken when I go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. So I can relate to your, like, I have an expect like when you have all these funny people, right? And you have all these comedians and you expect it to be really funny because
Right.
because they're comedians and a lot of them are really funny when they're actually doing their shows or their bits or whatever they do. And it just it for whether they all get dressed up, whether they're just not sourcing their chicken at the right place, I don't know, but it always seems to fall flat to me on some of these modern day celebrity roasts, and I don't get it, whether it's someone writes the material or they're just trying to be as crass, as awful as they possibly can. I guess it works. Anyways, there you go. By the way, what is your favorite fast food? I know you like fast food.
Uh, I'm pizza. Like it's
Oh,
I'm a pizza person. Like I like pizza. I don't mind. You know, I grew up eating Kentucky Fried Chicken when it was really like the real
yeah,
recipe, not that recipe they have now.
yeah,
Everyone wanted, you see it on South Park, right? I'm Cartman. I want the skin. Give me all the chicken. I want all the skin. I'm wings. The
yeah.
breasts were good chicken breasts, and I didn't really do the drums as much unless I had drums and just biscuits, and I would do that. Now I will say this: Popeyes biscuits are better.
They are. They are.
The biscuits, if I could make my Frankenstein type
Right.
food
Yep.
place, I would
Yep.
go with my fries from um, Chick-fil-A. I get
Okay.
my waffle fries.
Yeah.
I take my original chicken recipe from KFC, and I'll take the biscuits from Popeyes. And now I got the perfect franchise in terms of where I think I've kind of made it work. Now I don't mind those the uh
Red
the
beans and
bigger
rice.
potatoes that they have at
You like the red beans and rice?
yeah. I
Popeyes?
don't do the red beans and rice, man. No.
Ooh,
I
I
don't
think
like all the stuff mixed. Listen, when you're
mm,
when you're in those spaces, you realize that all the ingredients aren't always fresh. Like you're gonna scrape what's left over and put them into the other thing so you don't have waste and all these other things. So I know the biscuit. You can't piecemeal a biscuit, right? The biscuit is the biscuit. The chicken, you don't get to pull skin off of one and put some together. Now, some places we've seen where they put
yeah,
chicken back together, and you got
yeah.
a leg coming out this side, you got a bone sticking out the corner of it, and you go, "Come on, man! You know that chicken's been taken apart, put back together, and then you literally somewhere arbitrarily grabbed a bone and stuck it in there with the rest of this compacted chicken meat pieces and compressed it, put breading around it, and now you're trying to serve it off as a piece. They don't even identify which piece of the chicken it is. It is, I don't know if it's a leg, a wing, a breast, a thigh. You have no idea. And so yeah,
So
man, I pizza's my go-to. But man, if you can get me the original KFC, yeah,
yeah,
that's
I'm
the
with you.
destination.
Yeah,
Colonel took it with him, man.
yeah. I was a toddler in a crib, and this was a story my mother told, and I would stand up in the crib and I would yell out, "I want Tucky chicken." And because I could smell it. My parents had gone and
Oh
got it
yeah.
when I was in, and so they get me out of the crib and I mean, from the time, and they give me Tucky chicken, man, and so it's been something my whole life. But that's a pro tip right there from Herman Moore, people. Do not eat the sides because they're not always fresh, and you're gonna get
When you take and you scrape them together. I'm
yeah,
telling you, it is.
yeah,
If there's
yeah,
fries left over, you throw old fries in with new fries. You take and you scrape out the bottom of this and you put it together with that. I mean, it's just it's yeah. Come
yeah.
on, man.
No,
It's called waste. You're not gonna have waste.
that's
That's
a pro
cost,
move.
man.
That is
Hurts
a
the bottom
pro
line.
yeah.
I'm not gonna pass that along. Give you fresh food when I can save my bottom line and give me all that profit.
Just eat the chicken. That's the thing. All
Eat
right,
the chicken anyway.
all right, here we go. We're gonna take a break. We come back. Hey, they have I guess it's the week one Sunday night game in the NFL is coming out. That's pretty exciting. So we'll talk about that and more when we return. Hey, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty. I'm Scott. He's Herman. It's a crazy day today. We've decided that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, but one thing is consistent. That is the NFL season is always upon us. We talk about it 365, 24/7. It is the religion of our country. And some folks might say, you know what? That's okay. I need more football. It makes me a better human being. Well, the NFL has come out and announced that its first Sunday night game is the 13th of September, and it's a good one. I think it's going to be a great one. It's of course the debut on Sunday Night Football as the New York Giants football coach John Harbaugh will be facing the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Of course, the Giants have some nice young talent. Quarterback uh, Jackson Dart is going to see if he's going to be a guy that pans out. And my goodness, are the Cowboys ever going to win a Super Bowl again? Jerry Jones is on the 30-year plan, which means he tries to create drama and dysfunction and then somehow pulls out a Super Bowl victory. But your initial thoughts about you like this matchup? You know, Sunday night matchup football games are always really pretty good. You like this as an opening one for the NFL season?
You know what? I don't have a problem with it. I think it has a good, pretty good storyline. You got a coach that is left a franchise that he has helped build and is well received as a coach, and his players have spoken highly about him in Baltimore, and that it's a new journey for him. So that's going to have its own storyline, and then the Cowboys are the Cowboys. They're always a team that you can watch that's going to have storylines. They have such a polarizing owner in Jerry Jones that uh, everyone's looking to see what Jerry's next moves are going to be or what he's going to do in terms of that franchise. Because if you go back and I was telling you before, I ended up watching his story in terms of how he came about acquiring the Cowboys and
Right.
all the things he had to do and his whole background. It's an interesting piece to go watch if you get a chance. I don't know if it's on Netflix or Hulu or one of those places, but it was, understanding the glory of what we knew of them in the 90s and even during the Tom Landry era and those Staubach and all those guys and Dorsett. Like it is a franchise that has a lot of history. It has some championships, but it has now become more of the team of drama and off-season moves, in-season turmoil, and shortfalls. And so now to see what happens with them, I think they're still a ways off from making it to the Super Bowl. I don't think that's in their cards for right now, but they do make for an entertaining conversation. So yeah, the week one, I think opening up with those guys is you got some pretty good storylines.
So there's one thing the NFL does, and it's fascinating that it works. And we when we talk about getting a narrative pushed on us, when you talk about the results don't kind of um, cause the reaction to things like and the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants are a perfect example of this. If you have an average New York Giant football team, I mean when I say average, they're 2-4. They're four, they're 4 and 9, or 5-8 or something like this. They're going to get put on a national game. Dallas Cowboys the same way. Like the Dallas Cowboys have been the team to go to the Super Bowl every year. Like, is this the year? Is this the year the Cowboys are going? Boy, they're loaded. You've heard this for years. Dallas Cowboys have not been to an NFC Championship game since 1995. The Detroit Lions, who haven't even been to a Super Bowl, have been to an NFC Championship game sooner than the Dallas Cowboys. And the NFL does this intentionally. And so like this is a good matchup, and there are some great storylines, like you talked about John Harbaugh and these teams, this resurgence, all this stuff with both of these teams. But the reality is these markets move the needle. You can have bad teams in New York and Dallas, and people still tune in and they still watch. And we're used to, like, if you're not good, you're not getting on national television. That's the norm with how games are broadcast. I mean, Sunday Night Football is very, flexible in that way. They're always going to get a great game. Now, maybe they did this the first week of the season because maybe they think that the Cowboys and the Giants aren't going to be good later on. So let's take advantage of them. Let's take advantage of John Harbaugh early on, because we're not sure what's going to happen down the road. But it's a fascinating thing that the NFL does with its schedule and with what games get aired nationally, and it's not necessarily the best teams that have that happen. And the Giants and the Cowboys are the perfect example of this. I mean, if you had the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans and they were losing teams, they're not going to get on national TV, not in a million years. Chicago's another part of the country that's that way. Of course, your LA markets are as well. And the reality is just because there's so many people there that are fans. You get millions of people in New York or Dallas, and Dallas has fans across the country. They just like to tune in to these games. Now, the Lions, because I want to talk to you about the schedule and the fact that it's coming out. But the Lions are actually going to Germany, and it's a Week 11 game, and you're going to be a big part of that when they play in Munich. And Munich is, I want to say, I know Germany is very big on American football in the NFL, but Munich is kind of a city that's new. Haven't been. I don't think there's been game played in Munich yet. So tell everyone a little bit about what you're doing there with the Lions when they go to Munich.
Well, I'm excited to team up with True Fan Travel, that are looking to bring out a few hundred fans on a chartered flight. You see a lot of players that are doing that. Some ex players. former players who are teaming up with some of these travel companies, and I'm excited about the one that I teamed up with. They've been in it for a while. They've been doing it for a lot of the teams in the past years as their exclusive partner for travel, so they know their stuff, and just being a part of that and playing host along that way and have an opportunity. Anyone who knows me and knows my background, seen me over the years, it's not fabricated. It's not because someone's stroking a check. I sincerely enjoy hanging out with fans and sincerely enjoy being around the people who are most excited about what the teams are doing and being just kind of in the mix of that. So being chosen to be a part of that group and go with them is going to be fantastic. We're going to be putting up some information for those who are still looking for opportunities to travel and be able to go to the game that are interested in going. Come hang out with us. I'm going to be your host. I'm going to be there along with some other Detroit Lion legends that will be a part of our group that are going out, and we're going to be there for 6 days. I haven't been to Germany, so I'm really
Oh,
really super excited about it, and I will make the most of it. I'm looking forward to the food. I'm looking forward to trying some of the beer, and just taking in the culture that's out there. And get outside of some of the areas that will really give me an opportunity to see the culture and experience Germany in a different capacity.
so I love Germany, and I've actually played. I played an NFL game in in Germany, in Berlin, in the Olympic Stadium where Jesse Owens, had Hitler walk out of. We practiced there. It was a preseason game. It was kind of the precursor of all these games that were happening. The NFL has had its eye on Europe for a long time, so these were some of the early games, and it was an incredible experience. I played in Frankfurt in the World League, and which was part of the NFL Spring Development League, and both times the fans over there were just frenzied. I mean, packed stadiums, massive interest. You just talk about drinking your beer. At the stadium we were in Frankfurt, 48,000 fans. Every single fan showed up 4 hours before the game. Everybody was there. Like it was massive tailgate, and it was just these beer gardens, and they just had them set up all over the place, and we were the visiting team. We were beating the German team so bad that at halftime they flipped allegiances and they started cheering for our team at halftime, and nobody left. Like they stayed till the very end and just loved it. I'm just telling you, if you're a fan out there of the Detroit Lions, even the NFL, it's like go do this. I mean, what an incredible experience, and I'm sure you'll be an amazing host. But to go to Germany and see kind of the area, to hang out with Herman and to watch an NFL game. Shoot, I might go do this, and because
Oh,
it's
I'm gonna, come on, QB1. I'm already saving a spot for you. I don't. You may as well go ahead and get ready for
all right.
that
I'll come.
trip.
I'll
I'm
come.
already telling you right now. We're gonna do our show from
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
We're
Well,
gonna we're gonna
then I'm
we're gonna
going to
take in
Germany.
some of the we're
Yeah.
gonna take in some of the atmosphere and everything else that's happening over there. So yeah, we're gonna bring some of that right to our show, right to the people who aren't attending, but those that will be there will have an opportunity to hang out with us while we're there.
Very cool stuff. So the season opener. Um, how did you feel about this? Just was it more meaningful? Was there more pressure? Was there did what did you feel about those kind of opening season games when you played? And really how important are they?
Well, they're important because they set the tone. Um, as well as I do that when you go out and you play that season opener, a lot of times coaches will say, "Hey, we're going to work through some of the inconsistencies because they don't expect you to be as sharp when the season begins."
Right.
But I disagree. I think you come out of training camp ready and prepared. You're ready to have that over with. You're ready for the preseason to be over with because you're ready to get the season going. Your preparation and everything that you do that week leading up to it eliminates all of the butterflies. It eliminates all of the I won't call it the fear because you can't play this game with fear,
Yeah.
but it eliminates all of those questions and concerns that you should have. You should be ready to come out and play. And I will only say this: the only time it affected me was when I was younger, my first year or two in the league, because you're still getting acclimated. I don't care how many practices you've had. I don't care how much you've studied your playbook. The game is different. Preseason, everyone knows, is different than regular season. Regular season is different than playoffs, and so on and so forth. And I always had just a clear goal, and that was to go out and dominate. That was to go out and to grade out high in execution of my game planning and whatever my roles were going to be, and it usually performed pretty well. I mean, I would go back and look and say that I probably did really well on all my opening games, because that's where you're focused. You're setting the tone and the tempo for what you're expecting out of yourself and your teammates for the season. That's your starting point.
Yeah, I hated the preseason. Like I hated the worst part of the entire football season to me was that week after the very first week you were in training camp. So you'd practice that whole first week, and then you get to the weekend, and then all you did is you just kept practicing. There was no game. It was just more practice, and it was like not just a practice, it was multiple practices a day, and it was meetings, and it was just all, there was nothing to look forward to. And once you started playing games, you start getting into the preseason games, then it was like, okay, this is, you're working towards something at the end of that week. And then you were like, okay, I'm over preseason games. And part of the thing for me was that they didn't matter. You still had to get yourself into that game mode, but it was hard to get into the game mode because, well, you're only going to play the first quarter or the first half or 3 series or whatever, and then it's over. So you kind of, you're not in complete game mode at that time. And I just, for me, man, I just loved when the season started because it mattered. The games were meaningful, and you just could get into a really good rhythm of everything, of playing and the flow of the games. It was hard for me before that happened. So I loved when the season got started. I you know as it, I kind of I can I've kind of gone both ways with this, where I've had seasons that started off strong and had seasons that didn't, and it's really, I try not to make too much out of, winning that first game or losing it. It's really about getting into good habits and good rhythms, and knowing, it's about winning 3 of 4, or 4 and 1, or along those lines. And just so I didn't want to. I know an NFL season's like a marathon, so you don't want to get into this sprint mindset of, man, we're just gonna go. Coaches are like, we're gonna install, for this game 2 weeks before it happens, and that's when it gets kind of sticky and stale, and you put too much into that opening game. I think it can hurt you.
Let me ask you this, Scott. Like, when you look at the preseason, um, I'm curious to get your thought. Like, if I'm gonna put you on a spot, I want to say that you are the coach of the team, and you get to create the tempo of what starts. And I was curious. Some teams will come out and they're kind of going through the book. They're going through the playbook, and they just kind of ramp up, and it's like they're warming up, right? Instead of just coming out of the gate. You get some teams that come out, man, you're coming out. I don't care if it's flea flicker, the first play of the game. I don't
Right. Yeah.
teams will go out, and like, we always
Yeah.
wanted to throw a go route in the
Right.
first series, right?
Yeah.
We want to make sure if we get a first series, we want to try and take one shot.
Yeah.
And you woke up the defense and say, listen, it's not that kind of party. You can't sit here on the line of scrimmage thinking you're going to play Barry and we're not going to take our shots. We're going to run Barry right, run him left. If he gets the first or we're close enough, we punt and play defense, or we keep going because we picked up the first down. We're not playing that kind of game. And I've found that when teams that I've been associated with, and I'm curious what your approach would be, when we were in attack mode and we came out defensively and we were aggressive in our play, it set a different tone and tempo for that entire game. It almost caught the other teams off guard because most teams started that other way.
Yeah.
How would you come out of the gate? Like, you're looking at this, you're coming out of preseason, you got a team that's eager to get out there and play. You got your team's healthy and all those things. How are you approaching your opening game?
So I approach a team the same no matter what, and that's attacking their I don't know if I want to say their over aggressiveness or kind of I'm gonna go against the flow of what they're trying to do. So if you have corners that really like to jump routes or really aggressive and tough, if you're playing man coverage, I'm gonna run routes that are, I'm gonna give you double moves. I'm gonna attack that over aggressiveness of the defense. And when we were playing, if you're going to put 7 guys in the box, I'm going to wherever you're the most vulnerable, that's what I'm going to attack. And I always felt like it's easier to throw on first down
Right.
because everyone's
The least
expecting you.
predictable down.
Right, and the defensive linemen aren't, like, in the their ears pinned back, and they know you gotta throw in this situation, so it helps your offensive linemen, with in their pass blocking that, 'cause those defensive ends are tough, and when they know that it's a pass down, it makes them even tougher, so to throw on early downs, to throw the ball actually twice in a row, um, is certainly, something, that so many teams won't do. A lot of teams will not throw the ball on second down. It's not so much in the NFL, but it is, because the feeling is, oh, now I'm in third and really long. So if I just get a couple of yards on second down running, then and the other thing that'll sound like I hate to score on the very first play of a game.
You
And
hate wait a minute.
I,
That doesn't make any sense.
no,
Make that
no.
make sense.
Well, of course I'll make it make sense. So think
Okay.
about it. You have an offense, right? And let's say your defense starts the game. Okay, so you have pregame nerves, right? So you're ready to go. You're all jazzed up, and your defense is on the field, and that so the game started, but you still haven't got to get on the field where you're like, okay, we get that, we get on the field and off we go, and we get into our rhythm. So your defense goes first, and let's say they get a couple of first downs, whatever, they punt. So now you get the ball back, and on the very first play, you score a touchdown, and then you go sit on the sideline again. And so now your defense is out there, and you've hardly got a chance to really get into a rhythm offensively. I want my team to kind of settle down and get grooved in. And I'm just telling you, I think it's harder when you've scored, and it's not about not being aggressive. It has nothing to do that with that. But so often when you score on the first play of the game, it takes you a while to find your rhythm, especially if your defense has started the game first. I'm really big on going after people. And the other thing that I really believe in is, and I because I play the position, and that is you got to get your quarterback confident early in a game. And when you're turning around and not looking at the defense and handing the ball off all the time, and you're because I just hate this run first, run all the time mentality, and it in like I'm a believer of get everyone involved in your offense early. Get your wide receivers involved, get your running backs involved, get your tight end involved in a game early, so that when the play matters, when you have to have something in late in the second quarter or third quarter, whatever, you're not throwing to a guy for the first time the whole game. And that guy's been sitting there for like real time 2.5 hours before he's ever had a ball thrown to him, and all of a sudden it's third down and 7, and you go, okay, make the catch, and that just puts a guy in a tough position. And I'm just a believer in getting into a flow and getting everyone involved, but attacking where the defense is trying to not let you attack. So play attack their over aggressiveness as a defense. That's my philosophy, man.
Scott, let me Scott. Man, I wish I listen. I have this yellow. If it looks yellow, I have a blue. These are my things I use to clean my screen. Man, if I had, I wouldn't even throw a red flag at you. That's not even a challenge. Listen, man, let's go back. I was going. We got time. This is our show. I was going to move on, but I'm not going to move on just yet. You would rather not score on the first play of the game just so the offense could get in the rhythm. Now, Scott, I'm gonna
Yes,
give you a do-over.
yes,
I'm gonna give you a do-over.
yes,
No, no, this is
yes.
a teacher. Listen, this is like being at the school.
Oh,
The teacher gave you 1 plus 1 equals 2, and you wrote down 6. Now, the teacher's going to say, listen, Scott, here's a test. I'm going to give you a do-over, and are you going to stick with that same answer, or would you like to take the opportunity right now to edit? Everybody gets a do-over in life. I'm
Okay,
giving you a
listen.
do-over, brother. You
Okay,
still would not
listen.
want to score
Li-
on the first play of the
Listen.
game.
Listen to me, Linda. Linda, listen to me, please. Listen.
Listen.
No.
Go
Listen,
ahead,
listen.
Scotty. Scott, because
Okay.
what you just said makes no sense.
I never. Oh, of course, if you would listen to what I'm
I was
saying, it makes.
listening. It
No,
made
you
no
really weren't.
sense.
No. What you were listening at is you heard you don't want to score on the
I
first play
heard
of
you
the
didn't
game,
want to
and that's all.
score points.
And that's all you heard. That's all you heard. And so
That's
you
all I
weren't.
need to hear. The
No,
game is
no,
scoring points. Listen, man,
it's not.
the goal in sports is to outscore the opponent. It does not
Okay.
mean, hey,
Let
you
me
only
ask
want
you
to
a question.
win if your offense or your defense was acclimated, if they were,
I'm
you know,
not.
in the rhythm and everybody had an opportunity to touch. Listen, I don't care if I scored, I punt and played defense 96% of the time, but those other times we scored every single time
On the first play.
off of one play.
And how often does that really happen? It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
happen.
How often is it going to
It
happen where you can
doesn't.
score
Yeah.
on
Okay.
one play? I
So
will listen. If I'm going to score on one play, I'm going to take that one play. I don't want to have
okay,
to worry about drives and
I'm
10 play drives.
I understand that. I
Well, make it make
understand.
sense. I'm gonna shut
Well,
up now. I'm gonna let you make it make sense for me.
no, I'm trying to make it make sense to you. Look,
All right, go ahead.
I believe that you don't pass up an opportunity to score points. And so I'm going to attack a defense. I'm going to take shots down the field. I'm going to when I know and I can anticipate that they're going to be in a certain defense. You get that quarters coverage, and there's you just got some great plays that are big plays against quarters coverage, and I know you know what they are, and we ran them all the time. And so when I get that opportunity, I'm taking that all day long. That's not the question. It's just I'm just saying that at the beginning of the game, so often an offense will score on the first play and they have a really hard time scoring the rest of the game because by the time they get the ball back again, the game is gone a long way. And so, and I would rather because it just doesn't happen that often that you score on the first play of a game. It just doesn't. And
That's a
I would
preparation issue, man.
no, it's not. And I would rather have my offense be in like a well-oiled machine and confident and in the flow and getting a lot of people involved in a game. And I would rather because over time, what that does is that wears down a defense and they're on the field longer and you can just and I'm not. It's not about 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's not about. It's about just having your whole team in a really good flow and a rhythm. Now and I know you know this.
I know what
You've
you're saying, man, but
you've been
this
in
is
you've
still
been in
not.
games.
Maybe I'm on a different planet, brother. This isn't making sense
Well,
to me.
no, you've been in games where you're like, man, I just want to get on the field. Let's go. And for whatever reason, the defense is on the field for a long time. There's a lot of TV timeouts, and by actual time, like the game started, and the first time you see the field is like 45 minutes into the game or 25 minutes into the game, and your body is all like you have those pregame jitters, and everybody has them, and it's not a bad thing. But the only way you get rid of them is when you get on the field and you play, and you get on the
Okay.
field for one play, and you still have those jitters, and then you got to sit over there while your defense goes back on the field because you just scored a touchdown. Now you're up 7-0. That's okay. That's fine. But if your team isn't in rhythm, you still got the whole freaking game to play. And if you're playing like crap, man, I'm gonna start throwing my blue towels at you. Whew.
Scott, wait a minute, man. Listen. So let's say
You just want
because
to argue with
we don't
me,
like to
and
get
you
stuck
know
on
that,
topics, but
and you know
sometimes we
that
get
I'm
down and
right.
dirty.
I'm
We're
just
gonna have
trying
to
to
get down and dirty. Listen, man. Listen.
get down to. We're mired in the mud right now.
But listen, if we score on the first one, and it takes
Yeah,
the other team 25 plays
yeah.
and they don't score and they punt, we're up. Let's say we scored, we kicked our field goal, we're up 7-0. We're still up 7-0. And we coming out. So what? I got to bring a team out on the
That's a
field
beautiful
that
thing.
has been sitting for 25 plays,
Yeah.
but we're up 7-0 because our defense made them have a long stretch. They had back and forth, they were converting, and then all of a sudden it was a 25 play drive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the difference if you open up and there's a blown coverage? Do you not throw it to the wide open receiver because you go, man, I'm not going to throw him the pass, man, because you know what? This is the first play of the game, and you know what, man? The offense really needs to get in the rhythm. Or hold on, Barry, you hand the ball off to. Let's not even make it Barry because that's going to be biased. Everybody wants Barry to have the ball. We give it to our running back. Running back takes the ball.
Ron
All of a
Rivers.
sudden, it opens up like the Red Sea. Man, he's gone.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's thinking to himself, I'm just going to fall down right here at midfield or something because we cannot score because we need to let the offense get in rhythm. And if I score right now, that means we get one play and everybody's got to go back to the bench. The receiver didn't get a pass. Scott didn't get to throw the ball. The line didn't get to get pass protection. We didn't get to see the defense. Man, we're going to be screwed for the rest of this game.
No,
dude, it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
Dude,
okay.
The comments are going to light you.
No, they're
listen,
not. No,
this might be the most active.
No.
I'm willing to go on a limb and say this will be the most active our comment threads have been.
So you're putting words into my mouth with what you're saying. Okay. You are, because dude, what you're saying
I did not put words into your mouth.
Yes, because I would prefer to get my offense in. No. See, that's what I'm saying. I would prefer to have the offense in rhythm. However, I'm not opposed to going, let's throw a go route on first down. Let's throw a double move on first down, the first play of the game.
You said score on the first play of the game. You say you prefer, you would rather not score on the first play of the game.
I would prefer that to happen. I'm not going to like pass up on it. I'm not going to go, if points are there. Look, I understand how hard it is to score points, and you have to take advantage when you get those chances to score. You score. And that to me is a foundational thing. And quite frankly, I think too many teams aren't aggressive enough to do that. And you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. You really are. And what I'm saying is, if it happens, you score, fine. But most of the time, you're not going to just score on the first play of the game. You're just not. And so,
you ever seen Menace to Society?
I would rather no, I haven't. So I don't even know what you're talking about, and quite frankly, I don't even care. But I would just tell you that I would rather have my offense in a rhythm and have everyone involved, as opposed to every once in a while, how many times in a season does a team score on the first play of a game? Just look up the statistics. It's like once. If it's once a year.
Scott, I get the probability of what you're saying, but I'm saying, listen, if we have 56 plays in a game, and on 5 of those plays, those things, we scored on the first play of those series, I am happy.
I am too.
I am extremely happy. And those other ones were 3 and out, and we were punting. It is what it is. That's the way the game is rolling that way.
Yep.
And our offense shows that we had 5 big plays and 100 yards. We had 5 plays and 200 yards or whatever, and 5 touchdowns. Man, brother, I am tap dancing in the rain, right? And but I'm gonna let you go on out there and score whatever points you score. But y'all have 500 plays and are behind.
Yeah.
And everybody's out there bloodied up and hurt.
But they're all in rhythm. Look,
the movie you got to go watch Menace to Society. Listen, Menace to Society. I'm gonna be Billy Duke. Look, I'm gonna be Bill Duke. You're gonna be Kane, and he's gonna sit there and he's gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna say, wait a minute. You know you screwed up, right? That ain't what he's saying. But everyone who's seen it, they understand. The people in the comment are gonna know this. Hey, you know you messed up, right? You said that you'd rather score taking your time. I said I'd rather score on the first play. You know you messed up, right? You know you screwed up, right?
What I said is
hey man, you sound like a brother going to jail. Come on, man.
No, I would prefer.
I already got you. I already got you, bro.
No, you didn't get me. And by the way, come
on, Scotty.
No, man, I'm gonna take shots in a game. Like I'm not aggressive. I'll give you an example. You have a turnover. You have a turnover at the 50-yard line. right? So the defense gets you a turnover. First play in my mind is what play can I score right now, right on this play? 50-yard line going in, you have a turnover. I'm looking to score. I'm looking for a big shot because it's all about momentum and it's all about oh man, the other team like they had a turnover and so they're like, oh man, we got a turnover. And then to top it off, the first play you score a touchdown, and that just turns the screws even more and it just changes the psyche and the momentum of a game. And they go, oh man, these guys are serious, man. They're getting turnovers, they're taking shots to score. And that's exactly what you're saying. Like I'm just telling you, I'm not aggressive, but I just know at the beginning of a game, a lot of times it's so much better to get the nerves out, get on the field, just get
I'm
hit.
in agreement. I'm in
So
agreement.
yeah.
I agree that
And
there's
if you
rhythm
happen to
in the game.
score, fine, but
It
I
just
wish
threw me, man, when you just said that you don't like scoring in the first play of the game. You just throwing me off, man.
I know. But
That
I'm not
doesn't.
gonna go, "Oh, I'm sorry, well, you know what? We'll take that back." No, it's like
All
if you
right.
score,
Well,
you
all
score.
right.
And
Let's move on.
I'm not gonna call plays to not score either. Like, I'm gonna be like, "Let's go. Let's take a shot on the first play of the game." Because
All right, yeah,
it does set a tone. Here
what's wrong with you, man? You been messed up somebody's parlay.
no, here's the thing. I think it's important to throw the ball deep, no matter what happens.
You have to take shots.
You have to take shots. Because if you're always nickel and diamond folks and you're never going down the field, but they are gonna sit on stuff and sit on stuff and sit on stuff. But if you and I'll tell you another thing that's really good. You throw a go route on a DB and it's incomplete, I'd go right back to that guy and throw it at him again. And this time I might
Absolutely.
throw a comeback, I might throw a curl route and out, something. It's just like, so that guy goes, because he's like, okay, they didn't complete it. I'm off the hook. It's like, no, we're gonna keep coming at you and keep coming at
Mhm.
you. Because DBs are those guys are on an island
Right.
and they're exposed. And if you want to get into a player's head quicker than anything, you can do it with a defensive back.
I agree.
All right. Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell, Herman Moore. So glad you could be a part of our day. And Herman's like throwing flags. He's cursing me under his breath. He's doing all these crazy things. Thinks I've lost my ever living mind. And I never had a mind to start with. So if you can't lose something you don't already have. Anyways, welcome back. Okay, this happened in a UFL game. And I like the UFL because I had an experience with spring developmental leagues. My second year in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins, I went and played in the World League, and it was a fabulous experience. And I recommend it to every young player who's learning and developing. There's nothing better than to play games. That's the greatest teacher in my mind. I don't care at what level. It's just truly fabulous. And there have been some fun innovations that have come out of the UFL that have been adopted by the NFL. And so there was an official who actually was made a call, and a sideline reporter came up to him. Now I don't know if this is allowed or if it was just ad hoc, or he just said, I'm gonna try, or there was a timeout or whatever. But he said so a sideline reporter went up to the official and wanted to get further explanation on the call that he just made. Do you like this idea? Is there a place for this in the NFL? What are your thoughts, Herman Moore?
Well, I think it adds an extra layer. I don't necessarily like it, and here's why. Anytime the official is making a call on the field, why not just allow them to walk over to the mic they already have? Yeah, you don't really need the reporter. So I get the reporter piece. I think it just adds more layers to complexity, and then I think it adds a different element to it that may be a unknown, unnecessary additional disruptor that's already existing with what we do. We start to get a little antsy, a little bit impatient when we see the officials right now having to come out, review a play, figure out what the call was. We're watching it over and over in replay, and then we're seeing if the call is right. Now, if we're asking them, I'd rather see an NFL official press conference to where there's a series of controversial calls at the end where it can be absorbed by the reporters. They could be Q&A'd by the reporters. I think they could be Q&A'd by people online who are looking in and listening in. And now we get a digestible, comprehensive not having to worry about someone being on the clock during the game itself. That is, to me, is a more organized way in which to do it. I
Mhm.
wouldn't do it the way which you're just doing it on the sideline. We already got cameras running out on the field at halftime. I mean, not during the game. We got them coming out of the huddle. We got all this other stuff, and it almost becomes that UFL um, um, kind of arena type feel, to where you almost start to feel like the game itself is starting to slip away, and it becomes really just entertainment more so than an actual professional sport, without the distractions that we see that are occurring all over the place. Because remember, it's not just what we see in the box on our TV screens. When you pan out wide, or you're at a game, you see a lot that's taking place all over the field. You see cameramen out on the field. We see people running up and down the sideline. They're bringing the experience to the household. I get it, for those who aren't in stadium. But I think there's if you instead of impulsivity, if you really think it through, that becomes one of the most valuable, most engaging press conferences, beyond, I think, even just some of the player press conferences, when you get to ask the officials kind of what they saw and what they called.
I remember Coach Shula. Every Monday, we would be in a meeting with Coach Shula, the quarterbacks, Coach Shula, and he would get a rundown. He would get like a list of all of the calls the officials had missed in the game before. So there is this evaluation. There is this kind of because and there is a press conference. It's private and all that stuff, and they do an analysis on game officials. And every week he'd run through the plays, and he goes, "Why do I look at this? Why do I even care? Because what good is it going to do me right now?" And he's just like, it's kind of after the fact, the game has already been decided, win or loss, and you go, you know it would have been nice to know this maybe during the game. There's a part of me that kind of likes it, and I like it for a couple of reasons. But and I think I don't like it for the same reasons you don't like. I don't like that if it slows down the game, or if it causes too much of a distraction, or it becomes kind of this like circus and hokey, because there's just a certain way that we like to view football, and it's this very traditional way, and it's the game, it's the flow, all those things. But this ABS, this thing in baseball, the automated balls and strikes, and they can actually question it. um, it's been a rousing success, and a lot of that is because it's kept the referees, the umpires, actually on their toes. Like, if they know that there's going to be some accountability, or questioning of what they're doing, they tend to call it, and really hone in, and really try to call it, whether it's a ball or strike. And it's actually taken officials that were really, I don't want to say poor, but it actually improved their performance. And having an official that has to have accountability, whether it's, in the moment, because I would love to hear from an official, not during the play, like if there's a timeout, or if there's a moment where you could actually talk to them, and they said, "Hey, look, this is what I saw in this situation. I saw him go to here, and in my determination, that was a penalty." And I wouldn't even be opposed to go, "Yeah, I think I might have missed that one." Now, I don't think they'd ever admit to that, but man, wouldn't that be refreshing to just go, I missed a play. So I like the idea of some modified form of this, and I love the idea of having a very public post game, like, press conference. I think that would be fabulous. I think it would help fans to kind of get into the human side of and how of these officials, and how they're actually seeing the game, and in a way almost educating the fans, because I don't think the fans really, like, they know what the penalties are, and they kind of know what would constitute holding or pass interference, or to some degree. But to hear the referee's interpretation of that, actually, I think, may help fans, and I think even help fans go, "Hey, we're going to kind of tone down our conspiracy theories, or the league's rigged, or all of these things, if we could actually have more openness and dialogue and access to the officials." So in some regards, I kind of like the idea of it. Do you, in general, though, do you like a spring football league, something that's tied to the NFL, uh, an area that helps further develop either concepts or ideas like this, or players or officials, or are you a fan of spring football?
I'm not a fan in its current capacity. I think there is a utility for these professional sports leagues to have a, whether it be a spring league, whether it be a development league or something like that, but only if there's a purpose there. So, for instance, I can't understand why, for instance, the NFL. Okay, I get that these different, semi pro leagues and all these things that they go out and get. I think every franchise should have, under its exact same brand name, a spring league. Stay with me there. Then from there, open it up to those who were undrafted or draft picks or players that are on the cusp of looking for development, because there's always going to be guys rotating out of the league from retirement to need a new group of guys to come in. But it allows you to have a development league where you can bring guys right into your system, and or you can actually swap and trade those players with other development leagues, and you're doing this little behind the scenes piece that allows teams to have kind of that depth that will keep rosters from falling off the cliff in the event something happens. So you already have that backup that you can bring up, that knows your system, that knows some of the things that you're doing, and your fan base stays close to it because they get to know the depth of those teams.
Yeah.
Other than just these random leagues and these random players, they really never go anywhere. There's backing financially that happens. Some people win, some people lose. Most of them are losing, and there's really no means to an end. But if you provide purpose and structure up front with why we have these spring leagues, um, I believe it will allow the teams to have football be more meaningful. It provides kind of a development piece to where you're going to find some really, really good players that just needed that extra year or that extra off season of preparation, and you're bringing them into your mix. I would then get rid of preseason games, and I will allow this to kind of serve as my preseason fix, get teams ready. And then when they get ready for the season starts when the season starts. We already see in training camp right now, teams are bringing in other teams to practice against each other. It's a very controlled environment, but it's more, you're getting more out of that than you get out of preseason games. I'm telling you right now, if I could go against those other players in training camp, I would have gotten more out of it. You don't even need preseason anymore for that. And I think as you continue to elevate the training camps, it actually will offset your revenue by putting more events and putting bigger opportunities and giving that to contractors to bring experiential or some type of um, um, excitement around that team for the summer. Give them contracts. Get rid of the preseason and bring experience. Bring these different events around the training camps that expand bigger into those cities and use that money more there. It's got to be done. There's no one thinking of development along that lines because there's no innovation.
Right.
And innovation is because you got the same people doing the same things that are not able to look outside the box. And this is us just sitting here on the show. And we didn't think about this till you just brought it up, but it's that kind of thing. But you can see where I'm going with it, and it makes sense. And that's what business owners and entrepreneurs will do. I think you bring in these more innovative places, man. The NFL could just go into so many other spaces. When we see them doing certain things that don't make sense, is because the same people who have the purse strings, that have access to making it go, keep coming up with the same bland ideas that they just fall flat. They either boom or bust, for the most part.
No, I look, I had tremendous success in a spring league. It was immensely valuable to me in my career. And you talk about trying to find new revenue streams, and this is a great place for it. There's an appetite for football during different times of the year. It could massively help you with the development of your team, and also with the attrition that happens through injury. It's a great idea, but it also, you could bring players from other parts of the country or the world.
Right.
If you want to develop football in other parts of the world, bring players into your league. And I think that was part of what the World League was all about. It was kind of that idea. There certainly is I know there's an appetite for it, and I know you can have a quality league if you do it right, and you do it in partnership, and you do it smartly, like what you've said. All right, I'm waving the towel. That's it. That's all we have time for today. So yeah, Herman's opened up a new can of worms on the show. We're gonna get down and dirty every day. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Herman, and thank you, Chrissy, for all you do, and of course, Martin. This has been the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell, Herman Moore. Until then, we'll see you then.